All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel here. Back with another video here. A little bit of a different setup for me. Obviously, I'm going live these next couple of days. Everything's set up in my basement, so I'm not in my normal spot in my room because I'll be live tomorrow morning for round two and all that stuff from 11 to 1. Might be a little longer than that, but obviously we'll see. But since I'm live and all that, all my equipment's down here. I figured it was just simple to do the video here. But the Philadelphia Flyers had a good draft in the first round. MATVEI Michkov at 7, Oliver BONK at number 22. Flyers don't make any trades, no trades in the first round, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, considering there's still like one or two picks left as I'm recording this, but you know, Michkov at 7 for the Flyers is just great. I had a really fun time on the stream tonight. Obviously, everybody saw my reaction to that. I was pretty stoked to get Michkov. Obviously, everybody knows the talent he is, right? He wants to be a Flyer. He wants to be here. You can see it. You see it in the quotes. I mean, he already says his goal is to bring a Stanley Cup to Philadelphia, and that, we've been waiting a long time for that. This kid wants to be a Flyer. He wants to succeed here, and it's huge. It's huge for this team. It's such a relieving feeling to get a player like that, especially at 7, right? Like there was a lot of talk on who would be there and all this stuff. And for the Flyers, you get a guy in Michkov who is obviously great offensive talent, right? There's obviously things, every player is going to have to work on. I'm very interested to see on obviously, when he's available to come to Philadelphia, when he's able to play, if he'll be at development camp in this next week, we'll see. Him being in the States already for the draft being in Nashville, that probably does help the Flyers case. Obviously, there's a lot there to decide. BONK is a little different. As for him, it's like, okay, the Flyers go with something they needed, right? You get the guy who kind of fell into your lap at 7 in Michkov, who would have been number 1 in any other draft, and they go with a defenseman that they liked and who they needed in Oliver BONK. London Knights, 40 points in 67 games, right-hand defenseman, can play PK, can play power play, can quarterback a power play. I don't know if the offense will carry over, but, at going, first round at 22 overall, there's definitely some upside there. They liked them. They went with who they needed. And the Flyers, you add Grands in the Provorov trade, Helge Grands, sorry about that for the pronunciation. It's weird. Even with BONK, I've heard Briere said it as BONK, and I've heard BONK on the broadcast as I was watching some highlights, just doing a little bit of film research before I recorded this. So, the ebbs and flows of pronunciation. But anyway, as for, BONK, I like it. You we'll see what happens, right? I'm not the type of guy to say, well, he'll be this in a couple years, he'll be that. Like, we don't really know. Like, we all thought Nolan Patrick was going to be the number 2 center here, and then he barely played. So, like, it can go either way, and it's so hard to predict and all of that stuff. For me, I try to be patient with these guys and try to see what the development process is and what can kind of happen as we kind of ebb and flow throughout the season. And obviously as these guys develop and we go through the couple next years of rebuild. The thing with Michkov is, like, we don't need him right now. Like, we can wait. We're in a process, and we're in a situation where we can wait a little bit if that is the case. He's signed in the KHL through 25, 26. That's 3 more years. It's interesting. I think it's different from the Fedotov situation. Because he won over there. Fedotov won championships, one of the best goaltenders in the KHL, arguably the best goaltender in the KHL at the time. A lot of different obviously aspects to that, and I don't watch the KHL, but it's certainly an argument for sure. There's a lot of different things at play with this, and I think for the Flyers, you take a swing, and that's what you do, and you try to hit a home run, and I think the Flyers did, and if it works out and he plays, it's huge. It is definitely huge. Obviously for BONK, kind of switching back and forth here, like, 6'2" right-hand defenseman, we needed that. Outside of Ronnie Attard and Grands, like I mentioned, we don't have that. So, you're able to get a guy that you can kind of work with and see what happens. The offense, it might ebb and flow, and there might be different things that you can try to do. The Flyers have talked about before again, and this is with old, development guys like Mike O'Connell who aren't here anymore. And Flyers obviously made a lot of changes to their player development staff, but you have a couple guys here, especially Ronnie Attard, right-hand defenseman. They said they wanted to try to mold his game into like a Chernak, right? And you see like the defensive side and you try to get the offense. Like one of the biggest things is like the offense in his game. And it's like I think now you'll have a different aspect of like what you can do with these guys that you're starting to kind of add to that, because the Flyers really don't have any right-handed D. There's so many different avenues you can go down with the development of a guy like Bonk, excuse me. So many different things here. For Michkov, it's like again, you get a guy that you know is going to be a hit if he can play. And again, we're in a position where he can wait. And for him, wanting to say he wants to be here, wanting to be a Philadelphia Flyer, wanting to wear that sweater with pride, like that is something you want. And I think for the Flyers, that's a home run. I mean, I was so stoked to get him. I mean, obviously there's a huge concern about it. I think it's good. We take a swing at it. We're not afraid to go out and get a player like that. And I think it's really good for us. I mean, we've needed a guy like this. We need someone that can just come in and just like, just change that. And it feels like the Flyers are back. And I don't mean to say that and get too excited, right? Because there's obviously a lot of work to do here. But you can get excited. I mean, there's a lot of things here that can make this process and this rebuild go a little bit quicker. I think tonight kind of helped that, getting a guy like Michkov. It's huge. It's huge. I mean, it was one of the guys that I wanted. I talked about it the other night on the show. I had Mike Knubel obviously on the segment. Mike was saying Leonard, the Caps, they go with Leonard at 8. Flyers get Michkov at 7, right? There's so many different things that can kind of go on with this. Now, we'll see what happens. Again, I'm not really the type of person to like go into like the development and all this stuff. Like, I'm not a prospect guy. I don't watch these guys like religiously. Like, obviously I know Michkov, and I'm not trying to say that, but I'm not going to be the person that puts like a ceiling on these guys right away, or a floor. It's like, we'll see what happens here. Especially with a guy like Bonk, like defensemen, they take more time. There's a lot more grooming with them. Forwards, you can kind of pick apart, and we'll see like a lot of different things here that can kind of change. But as for tonight, I think it's really exciting to be a Flyers fan again. It really is. There's a lot of different things that have just been going on with this team, and you make a couple decent moves. And obviously the Hayes trade wasn't that great the other day, and now the Flyers get Michkov tonight. It was great, really nice to kind of see that. So we'll see. It's interesting. I'm super excited, man. I mean, there's so many different things. It's really exciting to be a Flyers fan right now, and just have that. Like, we just got MATVEI Michkov. Like, I still can't even wrap my head around it. But yeah, I mean, just incredible. I mean, look, just think about it. Like, we get a guy at 7 who in any other draft that doesn't have Bedard and all these other guys, and obviously everything that's going on with Russia and everything else, he's going 1. And honestly, in this draft, if even everything outside of Russia, right, and the sanctions and all that stuff, unfortunately, he's probably going 2. So we get a guy like that at 7, like it could have a huge impact. And Briere said it, like, wants to be here, wants to be a Flyer. You need that energy. You have that in Cutter Gauthier. You have that in MATVEI Michkov. It's something that you just need to keep pumping it out and getting it from these guys. And that's what the Flyers are getting right now. They're getting the guys that want to be here. They're getting the guys that want to be Flyers, because it's huge. It's huge when you're rebuilding a team and you're rebuilding a culture and a franchise like that. So it's interesting. It really is. And I'm super excited for what the future holds. But tonight was a good night for this organization. You get a guy in Michkov, you get a franchise need in Bonk, and a right-handed defenseman. You now have 3 guys, in that type of mix. And Bonk, you also have Ethan Sampson too. But I think you get my point. Like, there's a lot of different guys here. So we'll see. It'll be interesting. Let me know what you guys think below. MATVEI Michkov coming drafted to the Philadelphia Flyers. Same with Oliver Bonk. Let me know your guys' thoughts below. Thanks everybody so much for all the support. Remember to check out Maher Media behind me. All of that stuff. Check out all the links, everything. And I'll be live here tomorrow in this exact same spot at 11 a.m. for day 2 of the NHL draft. Thanks everybody again for all the support, and I'll talk to you all again soon.